Okay, just sit yourself onto your left and then come into a good cross-legged position, so swastikasana, and just get yourself comfortable. Just have a little wriggle around, make sure that you're sitting evenly on both seat bones. A pair of glasses somewhere. Here they are. So just have a little wriggle about, just aim for excuse me, aim for evenness. Hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, elevating the heart area up to the ceiling and drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Just look down at the floor, look at something that isn't moving. Keep your eyes still in the sockets. Soften your jaw by drawing your lower teeth away from your upper teeth. Just fill the lungs from the bottom to the top. And empty your lungs from the top to the bottom. Release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms really firmly together, lengthen from your armpits into your elbows. Really extend the underside of the tricep down away from the armpit into the elbows. Squeeze the elbows in towards each other to create real contact between the heels of the hands. And then raise from the heels of the hands into the fingertips. And with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Just listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Just draw your attention into the physical body. Just observing how your body is feeling this morning. How your breath is responding to the physical body. How the body is responding to the breath. How the body is responding to the pose. Keeping the eyeballs still in the sockets, allowing them to descend a little. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Feel the stretch of the back of the neck. Lift the chest up to meet the chin. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area. And then bring the backs of the hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. Connecting the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb. Stretching the little fingers away, stretching the other fingers away from the palms. A gesture of wisdom, intelligence, peacefulness that we can take into our practice. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Just hold onto your knees and work to elevate the heart area upwards, drawing the heart area up to the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears at the same time. Just take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side, elevating that heart region upwards, drawing your shoulders across your ribs and your abdomen, trying to draw the abdomen from the left to the right. Just observing your resistance, observing your body's response to the pose. Using the out breath to intensify it. And then come back to the center, hold onto your knees, lift up into the heart area, elevating the heart to the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down, taking a deep inhalation in through the nose. And then with an exhalation, turn to the left, drawing your abdomen across your ribs, your shoulders. Just drawing your shoulders away from your ears, lifting your heart area upwards, using your out breath to turn a little more deeply into the pose. And then come back to the center. You come off your lift and then sit back on your heels, big toes together, your knees apart. Just preparation for padangusthasana, but just let the let the feet kind of accommodate the buttock bones. So just roll over and try and draw the heel outwards a little, so that your little toe side of the foot comes onto the floor. Stretch from the instep into the outside edge of the foot. Stretch from the inner heel to the outer heel, so that you really activate your feet. They're not just idly there. You consciously activate your feet. When you consciously activate your feet, perhaps you can then consciously activate the shins. Press in the shins into the floor so that the thighs become activated. And then lift up into the heart area and maintain this seat bone buttock area connection, and then come down onto the floor, connecting the buttock area into the heels as you come forwards, lengthening forwards, and then bring the forehead down. Just keeping your advisable activated. by spreading the palms, spreading the fingers, drawing the tailbone down towards your heels. Just lengthening the hands into the floor, pushing down into the heels. And come up onto your knees, turn your toes under, and then with bent knees initially come up into dog down. Scooping the seat bones up to the ceiling, tightening the kneecaps, hitting the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. Lifting the fronts of the thighs up to the top of the leg, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards. Pressing the palms into the floor, squeezing the outer elbows in. Just allowing the body to warm into the pose, straightening the legs. Just breathing fully and deeply from the bottom of the lungs to the top. Okay, step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position. And then bring some blocks from underneath your hands for half uttanasana. Just bring your feet as wide apart as the mat, turning the toes inwards, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards. Spreading your toes, have your hands on your hips, and then elevate your heart area up to the ceiling. Squeeze your elbows towards each other. So feel that there's a real lift up into the front chest, and maintain that lift as you hinge at the hips. And then reach down, find the blocks beyond fingertips. Push the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs, turn the fronts of the thighs in. Scoop the seat bones up to the ceiling, project the chin and the chest forwards. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, projecting the chin and the chest. Projecting the abdomen away from the legs, hitting the shins back so that your weight is in your heels. You can go down any lower, then do. If you've got a bad back, then just stay high. Projecting the chin and the chest forwards. Lifting the seat bones up towards the ceiling. If you can go down any lower, then do. Find the floor if you can. But never at the expense of this, where you bend your knees and round your back and your weight goes into your hands. Keep the legs straight. Keep the legs straight, keep the shins hitting back, keep the seat bones picking up away from the backs of the thighs. Keep projecting the chin and the chest forwards, making a concave action in your shoulder blade region. If you can reach around the backs of your heels. but stay higher if you've got back problems. Just feel it for yourself. Just stretching out the lower back, hitting the legs back, hitting the shins back, keeping the chest projecting forwards, bringing the chest through the space between the legs if you've got hold of your heels, otherwise projecting the chin and the chest forwards away from the legs. Okay, and then gently bring your hands back into half uttanasana. Bring your hands into your hips and then come up into a standing position and then come up into tadasana. Just stand with the inner edge of your feet together, big toes touching, your heels touching, and then bring yourself into a good straight line. Just lifting up into the chest, elevating the heart area upwards, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, stretching into the fingers. Stretch the index finger consciously down to the floor so that the shoulders move away from the ears, but then make a conscious effort to lift the heart area upwards against those shoulders. Keeping the shoulders down, stretch your arms out in front, interlock your fingers, turn the palms all the way out. Don't worry about cracks and pops, that's good. Squeeze the outer elbows in and then raise your arms over your head. Turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, squeezing the elbows in, lifting up into the chest, lifting the heart area to the ceiling. Tucking the tailbone inwards, drawing the belly button towards the spine. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. And then release your arms, just swap the interlock of your fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then again raise your arms over your head. Just taking deep inhalations and exhalations, listening to the breath. Opening up the armpits, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears, keeping the heart area lifted. So there's that real juxtaposition in the chest, isn't there? You lift the chest but keep the shoulders down. And then gently just release your arms and then just stretch the palms down to the floor. So that juxtaposition is an important one to engage with, because when we're when we're extending, sometimes if you just extend kind of blindly from your arm into the fingers, sometimes if it's a one-way extension, then actually the extension isn't very deep. So if you're thinking about your legs, then if you consciously push your feet into the floor, so really consciously press your feet into the floor. The only way you can really do that is by activating your legs, by activating the kneecaps, by pressing consciously downwards. And then by pressing downwards, you can equally lift upwards. So it's knowing where you're stretching from that is really important. To lift up, spread the palms and stretch out from the heart area. out from the heart and into the palms. Press the feet into the floor so you really lift up and out of the feet. Spread the fingers, spread the palms. Feel that you can extend into the index finger. And then bring your arms in towards your chest, and then step or jump your feet apart, nice and wide. And then just release your hands for a second. So in trikonasana, the feet are kind of the foundation of the pose, aren't they? But if you just let the feet be quite light on the floor, then actually it's difficult to kind of get a sense of where you're lifting from. So if this back leg doesn't do very much, when you come over to this side, if it's not doing anything, it becomes heavy and nothing's kind of really activating on this side. So again, just consciously push the feet down into the floor. See if you can get the outside edge of the foot, press it into the floor, press consciously into the floor, and then feel how your legs have to activate to do it. You tighten your kneecaps and you lengthen from the hips down into the feet. So you really press the feet into the floor, but then press the feet into the floor and then suck up into the hips, up into the heart area. And then turn your left toes in slightly and the right leg and foot all the way out. Again, stamping the feet into the floor, lifting out of the feet up into the hips, and then come over to the side, turning the chest. But that foot, that right foot, is easy to stamp into the floor, isn't it? Because chances are your weight is probably pushing into it. So can you suck that energy from the foot and up into the leg? Can you press from the hip down into the foot of that left side? Turn the abdomen up to the ceiling. Squeeze the front leg buttock bone in a little more, and then look up. Lift out of the feet, not down into the feet. Lift up out of the feet, up into the hips, up into the heart area. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Reaching up to that top hand. Reaching into the index finger of that top hand. Come back to the center. Keep your arms outstretched, swap your feet around. Turn your right toes in slightly, the left leg and foot all the way out. Spread the toes, press the feet into the floor, lift out of the feet, up into the hips, and then come over to the left. Again, consciously lifting, pressing the feet into the floor, and then lifting out of the feet. So we're not aiming to make the feet light, we're consciously pressing them down into the floor, but then lifting energy from the feet up into the hips, up into the spine. Lengthening up into that lifted arm, up into the index finger of the lower hand. Come back to the center, bring your feet parallel, and then step or jump your feet back together. Come back into Tadasana, lifting up into the chest. So we can do padangusthasana. So if you know you can't reach your toes, then just get a belt and just hook your big toes inside the belt like this. And then you're going to just have the belt around the big toes, and then you just come forwards, hinging from the hips, never from the back, always hinging from the hips. You might not need the belt, so just have that if you do need it. Have your feet hip width apart, turning your toes inward slightly. So the big toes are distinctly closer together than the heels. And then press the feet really consciously down into the floor. Lift feet up into the hips, up into the chest. Have your hands on your hips. Lift up into the heart area. Wing the elbows behind you. And then hinge at the hips. Coming forwards. So at some stage it might feel like you want to kind of let the abdomen sink inwards so that the back rounds. So if that's the case, just come back to the center, just come up into standing and re-lift the abdomen up towards the diaphragm. So coming forwards like this is safer for your back, but it's harder in some ways when you get to a certain point to keep the chest lifted. So if you struggle to keep the chest lifted, lift your arms up. And then bring the palms forwards, come forwards, hinging at the hips, reaching from the hips into the heels of the hands. Keep lengthening forwards into the heels of the hands. Reach, even when you can reach the floor easily. Keep reaching into the center of the room. And then hook the index finger and the middle finger underneath the big toe. And then wrap the thumb around the outside of the big toe. Hit the heels apart a little bit more. And then you consciously hit the shins back, so that your weight goes into your heels. Stamp those heels into the floor and lift the seat bones away from the heels. Projecting the chin and the chest forwards, going for a straight back. So drawing the shoulder blade region in, lifting the sternum bone. Drawing the shoulder blades in. Pressing the feet into the floor so that you can lift the seat bones away from the backs of the thighs. Projecting the chin and the chest forwards. And then bend your elbows out to the side. Drawing the body in towards the legs. And then bend your elbows out to the side, drawing the body towards the legs, but not at the expense of bending the knees or rounding the back. Keep the back straight, hinging at the hips. Pushing the heels into the floor, lifting the seat bones up. Okay, and then just bring your hands underneath your shoulders, releasing your toes. And then bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into the standing position. Just have the inner edge of your feet together. Lift the chest, elevate the heart area up to the ceiling. Stretch down into the fingers, especially into the index finger. Lifting the heart area upwards. Okay, let's come down onto your knees for a second. So we're going to go up into a headstand. Now if you can't do a headstand, you can do the preparation stage, or you can do something to baddangulyasana. If you're not doing headstand at all, then you come down onto your back, soles of the feet together, knees apart, and then just lengthen the arms away along the floor, like that. You can have blocks underneath your thighs, excuse me, if you've got stiff hips. Blocks under a folded blanket under your hands if you've got stiff shoulders. Otherwise, just lift up into the chest. Chances are you probably need a wall to come up. I'm not going to talk you into the pose today. Just so if you aren't sure how to come up into a headstand, then do Supta Padangusthasana. Otherwise, just interlock the fingers, have the elbows directly underneath the shoulders, and then place the little finger side of the hand onto the floor, stretching the thumbs towards the knuckles, keeping the cup of the hand open. Bring the base of the skull into the heel of the hand, and then just come up onto the tiptoes. And you might just stay at this stage, this preparation stage. Just come in and out of here. If you can go up, then perhaps you go up, but just doing the preparation stage is plenty beneficial if you're uncertain of your ability to go upside down or do supta baddangulyasana. So there should be little weight on your head. Your arms are bearing the brunt of the pose. Consciously push your arms into the floor so that you can lengthen up into the heels. Breathe even, deep inhalations and exhalations. Okay, and then when you're ready, just gently bring yourself down out of adamukha, out of sirsasana. If you're in supta baddangulyasana, just stay there. If you're upside down, just stretch into adamukha virasana with your fingertips pressing into the floor, the heels of the hands lifting away from the floor just to give you space in the neck. Breathing even, deep inhalations and exhalations. And then push your hands into the floor and then lift up into the chest. So if you're in supta baddangulyasana, just bring your knees together, roll onto your side, and then sit back on your heels, lifting up into the chest. Breathing even, deep inhalations and exhalations. Just allowing the body to recover, just finding the new effect of gravity. And then come into cross legs. Just sit yourself in cross legs. hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, elevating your heart area up towards the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation and exhalation, and then we're going to come forwards into Ardha Mukha Swastikasana or padmasana. So you might want a couple of blocks. If you've got a stiff back, then just stay here, lifting up into the chest, just elevating the heart area upwards. Otherwise, scoop the abdomen up towards the diaphragm region. Keep coming forwards, hinging at the hips, holding onto your knees at this stage. Just lifting the chest upwards, scooping the heart area away, and then reach. Bring your hands onto the blocks, or you can reach forwards down onto the floor, but giving yourself that extra height just gives you lift in the chest. Spread the palms, press your hand into the floor, lift up into the chest. If you can bring the blocks down lower, try to keep the seat bones down on the heels. That didn't make any sense. Seat bones down on the floor, so try not to lift the tailbone up off the floor. You can always put a block underneath your forehead, and then maybe bring your hands down onto the floor. And then just walk yourself back into, just cross legs, hold onto your knees for a moment, and lift up into your chest, and then swap the crossing of the legs. So if you're doing half padmasana, just cross the legs the other way around. If you're doing padmasana, then just cross your legs the unnatural way. And again, hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest. The first thing that you probably notice is that you probably feel like you're not even. Maybe you feel like you're kind of rolling over to one side. So draw the buttock flesh out to the side. Just accommodate the seat bones. Use the seat bones to gauge your balance. So you should feel evenly weighted. Lift up into your heart area and then come forwards. Again, pressing the palms into the floor, having your arms wide so that you've got space in your chest and in your neck. If you can go down lower, then do. If you can create a little lift underneath your head, then do. Keeping the seat bones down on the floor, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. Just feeling the different stretch from the previous pose when you were crossing your legs the other way around. Okay, and then when you're ready, just bring your hands underneath your shoulders and then just sit yourself up. Just elevate the heart area up to the ceiling, just stretching out of your hips up into the armpits, drawing the shoulders down. And then turn to the right side. So it might feel a bit unusual because your legs are crossed the atypical way, but again, just use the seat bones as your gauge for your balance. Lifting up into the heart area, turning the chest. And then come back to the centre, hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest. Drawing your shoulders down away from your ears, take a deep inhalation in through the nose. And then turn to the left. And then gently come back to the centre. So we're going to go up into, we're going to use a chair again, and we're going to go up into sarvangasana using the chair. So eventually we'll start to go into sarvangasana without the chair, but for the moment this is good. If you're not doing if you're not going upside down, so Kat, I don't know how good this is going to be for your, because there's quite a lot of pressure on your kind of seat bone area when you do this. So I'm not sure if it's going to be brilliant for your, for you. So you can do Supta Baddha. So you can come back down onto the floor, Supta Baddha, or you can do Viparita Karani. You can even have a bolster underneath your seat bones for that. Otherwise, we're going to use the chair and a bolster. So you can just use a sofa if, as long as you can put your legs over the back of the chair, over the back of the sofa. And you're going to just come back, sit onto the back of the chair with your legs over the end of the chair like this. And then you've got your bolster underneath. And then you just lean yourself back, you come down and you slide yourself down off the chair a little. Just make sure that the bolster is underneath your knees. Not underneath your knees, underneath your shoulders. I'm getting my words all wrong this morning. And then you can bring your hands through the chair or just hold onto the seat of the chair and then extend the legs and then stretch your legs up to the ceiling. So it's a bit like Viparita Karani with your legs. So again, this is really good for the organs because it reverses the flow of gravity on the organs. It's also really good for the immune system. So as you can hear, I'm coming down with some kind of, some kind of coldy thing, but doing inversions is one of the best ways to overcome the cold. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. I've not chosen my spot very wisely because my feet are touching the ceiling, but keep extending the legs up towards the ceiling, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, pushing the tailbone into the floor, into the chair, lifting the legs up to the ceiling. Just breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations. Just listening to the breath, extending the legs up to the ceiling. So if you want to rest your legs, you can just bring your feet onto the back of the chair, or you can even stretch your legs along the back of the chair like this. But for the best inversion, just stretch the legs up. So what using the chair teaches you is to come right onto the tops of the shoulders, to really lift the chest. So the shoulder blades are drawing in towards the front chest. And that is a really valuable action. It's really useful to learn how to lift the chest when you're upside down, so that when we go into full sarvangasana in a couple of weeks, then you really know how to come up onto the tops of the shoulders. Okay, and then bend your knees, bring your feet onto the back of the chair. Just hold onto the chair legs, bring your feet onto the seat of the chair, and then just lift your head so you don't catch your hair, and then just slide yourself off the chair so that the seat bones are just sitting, also not the seat bones, the back, the small of the back is sitting on the bolster, and then you can just keep your your legs on the chair for a moment, just letting yourself rest down into the floor. Just breathe even deep inhalations, feeling how perhaps you've really cleared your airways a little. And then just bend your knees in towards your chest, and then roll onto your side. Just be conscious that you're going to be a little higher up than normal because you're on the bolster, and then sit yourself up. And then just come back onto your back, pull your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then sit yourself up. Just move your chair out of the way. And then have the bolster from underneath your knees, have a blanket from underneath your head. And then just come down onto your back. Bring the bolster into the back of the neck and the back of the head. Take the glasses off if you're wearing them. And then release down into the floor. focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Allowing the body to just rest down into the floor. You can go over the arms and the legs so that you become heavy on the floor. Feeling that the energy of the body radiates out from the bones and into the muscles. Into the organs, and into the flesh and the skin, using your in-breath and your out-breath to direct that feeling of energetic lightness down into the toes, into the fingers, and up into the top of the head. Just basking in that glow of energetic lightness. And when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, and then bend your knees, bring your feet onto the bolster. And then again, just draw your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. Just easing out any tensions in your back. And then very gently roll onto your right side. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just a final cross legs with your hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Close your eyes, draw your breath in through your nose, down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the twists and the forward bends and the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to Acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then very gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me. So hopefully you feel like you've really lifted your energy. Putting yourself upside down is a good way of really opening up your energy. So hopefully you feel good, alive, and full of beans, ready to start your day. Thank you very much for joining me.